welcome to another episode of Hard Tag with Bellchambers Cale Hooker, and my name's Jack Post. Boys, congratulations for achieving the #1 podcast with an asterisk during the week.
What's the asterisk about? #1?
Well,
no asterisks.
We're #1 in the sports and recreation center of iTunes, and another asterisk that comes with that is that iTunes is actually very kind to new podcasts. So
really,
we might.
We don't have to tell people that.
Yeah, well, I know, but just when I'm getting people prepared for when we settle back into the list somewhere.
We've been copying a bit of stick all week actually from the boys saying, it's what is it, #1 in the AFL podcast and that kind of thing.
We get a bit of stick, but all the boys listen to it and like it, so it's a bit of a backhanded compliment, I think.
Yeah.
But I'll just prepare you that we may not stay at #1 for good. It's how they do it is like number of new subscribers over a 24-hour period.
All that matters is we're #1 now.
Don't doubt us, mate. Wait and see.
I just don't want us to, drop down into the 50s and 60s.
Once again this
100.
week we had the guests lining up to get on the show, so whatever we're doing, it's
We've
working.
got the cream of the crop today.
We're very excited to welcome David Zaharakis in just a moment, but
fresh off a 4-year deal.
Last week we spoke about Joe because he just started up social media and he seems like a bit of a changed man.
He's bombed out. He is bombed out with his second post.
The first post was nice, about the family and that kind of thing for his farewell game from at Etihad Stadium, which is really nice. And then the second post, he missed the mark.
Can we? I'll just try to describe it for people who haven't seen it. Jobe Watson's second ever Instagram after he just started his account last week. He's got a picture of and I don't know a lot about NFL, but there's a player called Revis, and he's on the field in an NFL match. It says, "Congratulations on the award yesterday. Keep them on the island." And then it's got a little pigeon emoticon. I assume for Andrew McGrath, who you guys call Pigeon.
I don't know. None of that makes any sense to me.
I don't know how to decipher the rest of it. Do you know?
Yeah, it's gone straight over my head.
Yeah.
Maybe Zaka might be a good person to speak to because he's a big fan of American sports, so we can ask him about it. But yeah, it's not. I have no idea.
Yeah, I'll just block that one out of my mind after I saw it.
I thought you guys were meant to be his, introducers into the world of Instagram.
I know.
You welcomed him.
We got
you can only lead a horse to the water. You can't make it trick
right.
it. So.
All right, well, let's get David Zaharakis in there. Maybe we can ask him as well. Please welcome David Zaharakis to the Hard Tag. And you might have heard us talking, Zaka, about Jobe's Instagram. Can you decipher it for us? Do you know who this player is and how it relates to Andrew McGrath winning the Rising Star?
Well, first of all, I think it just epitomises why, or the reason Jobe hasn't been on Instagram for the last 10 years. Putrid Instagram. But I think if you're getting serious, the reason I think is because he's such a good defender. He plays on the defensive side of the ball. And the Revis Island is what they call. He's such a good defensive player. And I think it was trying to relate it back to Pidge being defensive player. Yeah, it was to do with Pidge. Yeah, well, I'm assuming 2 days ago, Rising Star. Yeah.
If you have to explain the post, you haven't really nailed it though. Have you?
Yeah, I think it's gone over a lot of people's heads.
Yeah.
But he's also Basil, the social media guy for Essendon, has also said that that Jobe's since the Hard Tag, he's been accepting a lot more media appearances and the like.
That's true. Yeah. I've seen him do 3 or 4 media things this week, and you haven't been able to get him to do stuff for 10 years, 12 years, and now he's doing things,
He's asking to do media now.
I think the realisation that footy's almost up for him is
he's clicking on.
Starting to hit him, and he's starting to get as many cashes as he can.
And David, how do you find, the boys actually mentioned your Instagram before you came in tonight.
That it was great,
very active user.
Well, that you don't shy away from a
cash for comment,
a sponsored post.
No, it's true. I don't shy away from that. You got to make hay while the sun shines, I think. These boys are perfect example.
So do you get
that.
into each other when people put on a sponsored post, or I guess it's like getting free stuff from companies because you mention them on Instagram and social media?
Well, you do, unless you're the Leo Messi of Australia, like Zachary. So he's obviously, Adidas is a big sponsor of David's, and he does a lot of work for them. So
wasn't even a paid ad there from Tommy. That was great.
Well, mate, I'll look after him.
No, there's been some putrid posts. There has been. I will admit to that.
You're an expert on Instagram, though. You do some good posts as well.
Yeah, do some good posts.
I think as a player, when you do post these things, and you have to post these things for certain reasons, that you're going to cop a bit of stick from the boys around it, so you can kind of prepare yourself for it.
You're well prepared.
I've been trying, since the podcast started, I've been trying to understand the fine system and who's getting in trouble for what. This is the player-run fine system.
Yep.
What are some fines you've received?
Well, more for my bad Northern Kia videos that I've produced.
Shameless.
At the time, I was perfectly happy to do them, but then once you come into the footy club and you might cop it.
So you're doing the ad, you're thinking, this will be all right, this will come up quite nice.
Yeah, I actually enjoy the car ride and feel like it's a good day and you actually get a bit of laughing out of it. And the boys just don't appreciate it at all.
Speaking of which, mate, like us, we pulled up out the front together. You're in another new car tonight. I haven't seen that one for a while.
Yeah,
so.
It's another new car.
Maybe check Instagram overnight and we'll see who the new sponsor is.
Genuinely has a new car once a month, Zaka. So
possibly once a week at the moment.
Once a week at the moment.
Is that off the back of the 4-year deal, or the sponsors just coming at you?
Mate, they've just come for 5 years. It's it can get quite annoying, but yeah, it's not bad.
And another little rumor coming from the social media corner is that James Kelly actually stopped following you on social media because of the overuse of sponsors.
Well, look, the interesting thing, that wasn't a sponsored deal. He wasn't happy with a post I did with a little goat. James, he questioned why I had to be in the photo with the goat.
You're taking the limelight off the goat.
Yeah, exactly. That was the exact reason that he didn't like the goat in the photo. He thought, didn't like me in the photo with the goat. He thought I was at Eggers Mission, which is a farm in up the northwest part of Victoria, and he thought that I should just take a photo of the goat.
Speaking of animals,
you
do a bit of work with
love
the
your animals.
you love your animals, and you've got an ambassador role, do you, with the rhinos?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Yes, I met Phil Liggett, the cycling commentator, well-known voice of cycling last year, and he's a patron. He and his wife are patrons for a company called Helping Rhinos. Obviously, they get poached over in South Africa, and
do you like Phil or do you like rhinos?
There was a bit of man love there. There was definitely a bit of man love. I could definitely say that. I followed him for growing up my whole life, and when I finally met him, it was a bit like meeting one of your idols. So I love that. Got on board, Helping Rhinos, going actually to South Africa in October with Phil and Trish, and they've got a house over there. So going over there and seeing some programs they've got with some rhinos, and doing some safaring over there, which will be quite fun, and then hopefully spread some more word out over here.
Beautiful.
I was listening to a podcast during the week of the 30 for 30 ESPN documentaries.
Yep.
There's podcast versions as well. And they're doing one on George Best, who is, was known as one of the great soccer players in the UK in the 1960s. And he spoke about this moment where he kicked a winning goal in extra time, playing for Manchester United. And straight after the game, he knew that he would never hit that peak again. And, he felt quite sad because he felt that as his moment. Did you feel a similar thing in the 2009 Anzac Day game in your first year when you kicked that winning goal?
It's been all downhill for the last 160 games. It's been all downhill.
Never going to reach that again.
Never. It's interesting. People always say when they wish you good luck for a game on the weekend, they're always like, kick the winning goal again or something. And it's just not going to happen. Like events like that, it might happen once or twice in your career. Hooksy's experienced that too.
Is George Best, is he the person that said, all your money you should spend on women, wine, and fast cars? Is that the one? And anything else is wasted?
It could well have been. He had a very high-profile off-the-field career as well.
Yeah.
So he's a very smart man.
Soccer, you're a very smart man. Okay, there you go.
I'm yet to experience that feeling. I haven't kicked the winning goal yet, so maybe this week.
Maybe this week.
Could be this week.
People obviously bring that moment up a lot. I think when it happened, you endeared yourself to Essendon fans forevermore. Like, I feel like there's nothing wrong you can do now because we just always think back to that moment.
Yeah, I think every time someone new comes up and talks to you, that's the first time they've mentioned it to you. But for me, you're getting it. It's like the 100th, 200th, 300th, 1,000th time since, say, 2009 that you get told it. So you're
getting sick of it.
Well, you don't.
Are you sick of it? Or you absolutely love it every time?
No, I reckon I said a couple of years ago to someone, you're getting a little sick of it, and they said, they sort of had a go at me and said, no, you got to appreciate the moment that actually people. That's the first time they're saying it to you, and how much it means to them meeting you and saying that to you. And then I sort of had to really take a step back and think about it and say, yeah, that's actually right. That every time they say it is the first time they can come up to you and thank you for it or do something like that, because it does mean a lot to them. So it does put it in perspective then after that. But I think it was a mistake maybe saying that. I was getting a little sick of people coming to me and saying that.
Oh, well, from me, thank you for giving me that opportunity to tell you how much I loved it.
No worries. No, and that's the thing. That's what I mean. It's completely changed my mindset and look on it.
Because it was only your third or fourth game of your career, did you for a moment think, I'm going to do this all the time? Like, this was pretty easy. I've only played 4 games and I've just kicked the winning goal.
Well, he did put it on replay around the club that week after he did it. So I think he was visualising doing it for the rest of his career.
I'll still YouTube myself once every couple of months.
If you ever have a bad game, you can just go back to YouTube, look at that, feel good about yourself again.
Now, we don't want to talk about footy the whole time you're in here, but tell us a story. You went hiking last year.
You love your travels.
You love your hiking. You love your travels. Tell us a story about the bear.
No, hardly anyone believes me about this.
Well, there's good reason that no one believes you about this, either, because there's no footage or no vision of it.
There's a reason why there's no footage.
Well, let's hear the story.
Let's hear the story first, and then we can pull it apart. All right?
Okay, so I was walking along a track, Panorama Ridge in Canada. I don't know, people that hike there might have done it. It's about a 30k hike. And obviously, it was in September last year, so right at the end of summer, which is bear season over there. And I was walking back down from the ridge, reached the peak, walking back down. And these 2 girls stopped me and said, about 100 metres down the path, there's a bear. But he's sort of in the meadow. So there was sort of like a little river ridge running off the side of the track. And he said, don't worry, he's in berries in there. So I walked off about 100 metres, didn't see the bear. So I thought... Did
you believe the girls?
Well, yeah, I did at the time, because in the look in their faces, they were a bit startled and a bit spooked. Like, you see a black bear coming at you. So I got about 100 metres down. Again, didn't think anything of it. It wasn't there. Sort of approached, there was a corner. So I approached around a corner, picked up the pace again, because obviously you're not meant to run. Picked up the pace a little bit. And as I got around, so I got my phone out. So I had my phone out on Snapchat, ready to film it. And as I went around the corner,
your phone died,
so
or what happened?
Reception. As I went around the corner, about a metre away, and I'm not exaggerating here because it was around a corner, so it was about a metre away. The bear was coming up from the meadow, stepping onto the path to cross the path. The other side of the path was trees, so he came across the path and he stopped in his tracks and he turned his head and looked straight at me from about a metre away. And my hand, I had no I couldn't move my body. I couldn't want to capture it. I couldn't capture it. I couldn't get my phone. I absolutely...
Wait, so you already had your phone out ready, but...
I had my phone out ready, but my hand was down my side, and at that, I was incapable of moving my arms at that stage. And he just looked at me, and I just, absolutely packed it. Just stood still, and then looked at it, slowly backed away, like one step at a time. And as soon as I got back around that corner, I legged it 100 metres. Oh, yeah. I reckon I went back up to the spot where I met those girls. And then I waited about 5 minutes because he was crossing the path, and waited 5 minutes, walked back down, and mate, if someone had a camera on me the way I was tiptoeing, I was like tiptoeing around the corner like as slowly as I can for about 50 metres, and then legged it. As soon as I got past the bit I saw him, ran about 500 metres.
That is brilliant.
Sure, mate. We believe you. We will believe you.
Mate, I was shattered. I didn't get any footage of it. But
the other thing we want to know about your hiking and your travels, you always seem to have these fantastic pictures and great pictures. Do you have a photographer travel with you, or what's going on?
Is there a personal photographer, or what's the go?
There's been a few trips where I've travelled with some people that I haven't actually got photos with, and they have been a bit of a photographer, and maybe got a little bit upset the fact I didn't put him on my Instagram story with them.
There's also a rumour of a tripod called David. Is there any truth to this?
Self-timer?
There's definitely... Last year in Canada was definitely self-timing. You get put a little rock and put a little...
balance the tripod.
Balance the tripod on there and do that. But in the past, when I've travelled with some people, there've been some upset people that I never put photos on Instagram.
If you get a bad photo, you just kick the tripod open and say, bad job.
Exactly.
How much of that trip did you do on your own last year?
Last year, Canada, the whole 3 weeks was, on my own. Yep. You meet people along the hikes anyway. There's all backpackers and that kind of thing. But you got to have blokes that want to actually do the hiking. And I mean, these two wouldn't want to come with me. They're more of Vegas, or boys. But
That's not true.
Well, we
mate.
saw them floating around in Santorini and
exactly
Croatia.
Prague and all that. They just wouldn't want to come with me hiking mountains. And
It's pretty hard when you got the choice between a pool party or a hike up. It's something that I've never got my head around. Why?
Have you guys ever travelled on your own?
No. Actually, I've been to Bali by myself. But I don't know if that counts.
Yeah. It takes a different type of person to travel on
yeah.
your own, I think.
Yeah.
it does, yeah, it does, yeah.
I think if you're meeting people along the way, it works. You know, a bit of time to yourself, a bit of time meeting other people.
yeah,
last
Tommy
year,
and I travelled on our own together last year for a bit.
What was that like? You two? It was good.
a bit
Turn
of
the
fun.
tables back on you two here.
That was a bit of fun.
It was a good time.
What'd you get up to?
Where'd you guys go last year?
We did Europe. We went to Europe. But I was going to say, at the end of that trip, Hooksy went and did his own thing for a bit in Italy with a few of the other boys and their partners and that kind of thing. And I didn't have a partner at the time, so I thought, I might go back to Barcelona. So I went back to Barcelona for myself by a week and spent a bit of time there. And
That would have been quite fun, wouldn't it?
Well, I had a great amount of fun over there, mate. So the beautiful city over there, right on the beach as well. So best of both worlds, mate.
There's too much that's unsaid on this podcast. Every week there's a comment made like that. But Cal, you made it sound like the two of you travelled together by yourselves, or did you just mean the whole group?
So Tom and I went travelling for a bit, and we did a bit of Europe, and then we met other boys along the way. We met the boys in Spain, and then the rest of the boys in Croatia.
Yep.
So we were like this, I don't know what you call it, but this group, it just kept growing bigger and bigger, and it was about 15 by the end of it.
I saw another place that you hit, David, on your travels was the small town of Essendon in the UK, in England.
Yes.
What's it like, and do they have any idea? It's actually what the suburb is named after, this small town. Do they have any idea of the Melbourne suburb and then one of the biggest sporting clubs in the country?
Yeah, so that was with Phil. Phil Liggett's his town that he lives is just across, next to it, I think. And when I met him in London last year before the grand final, did something for AFL Europe over there, and met him. He invited me back to his local pub, which is in the town next to Essendon. So we got a photo there, and then in that small town, he's actually brought. There's actually an Essendon flag. So when I rocked up to the pub, there's a pre-existing...
Did you have your Essendon jumper on?
No, I didn't have an Essendon jumper on. Brought a pen with me, though, if anyone wants signatures.
And a poster.
But YouTube highlights. But I think someone that he'd brought in the past had been an Essendon supporter and an Essendon fan. So the actual barman, the owner of the pub, already had an Essendon polo on. Because Phil told them I was arriving, and there was a flag up there. So there's a bit of an Essendon connection there, and they knew what Aussie Rules was, and he'd actually followed it before because of the Essendon connection. So that was pretty cool that just some random pub in the middle of outer suburbs of London follows the footy.
So speaking of Essendon, you obviously grew up an Essendon supporter, a big fan.
Yep.
What was it like coming to the club, being an Essendon supporter?
Yeah, I think it's an amazing feeling that on draft day, as you know. That
did you keep your Essendon pajamas, or did you throw them out once you got drafted?
I was a member of the mosquito fleet as a kid. I was one of those little kids that used to go up to an arch just for signatures. Got a photo with Lloydo back
That's
here.
great.
Yeah, a couple of years ago.
What other Essendon stuff did you have when you came to the club?
Drink bottle?
No, I didn't have a drink bottle.
Number plates?
I was still getting first.
Number plates on the car?
Well, they weren't Essendon specific number plates. They were personal number plates.
That's right.
You had personalised number plates.
Yeah,
my
my two sisters stitched me up there. They for my 18th birthday, my sisters bought me Zaka number plates, and obviously I was just
He's rolled into the car park. He's rolled into the car park the first day, and the boys have just gone, "Oh no, what's this?"
Looking back
Who's
now,
this kid?
I can understand people's preconceived ideas about me back then when I didn't think of it at the time. I was just a kid from Eltham with Zaka number plates on me on my car, and then rocking up into an AFL environment with, look at this kid, like thinks he's something already.
The nickname out there.
Exactly.
I don't think that lasted long.
Yeah, I got him off with about 3 weeks, I reckon, into the footy club. But I could understand now why it looks so
Whose
bad.
number did you wear on your jumper as a kid?
It was Hurdy and Lloydie. They were the two. Yeah, I reckon I went to the game. I think Lloydie kicked 13. I reckon at the G against Sydney in '99, maybe, if I can remember correctly, one of those years. And I reckon from then on, then it changed from Hurdy to Lloydie.
Yep.
Yeah.
My wife and I saw you earlier in the year. Actually, we sat next to you at a restaurant, And
Was I on a date or
Who was he with? Who was he with?
high chance I was on a date there?
You're actually with your mum and dad, I assume. An older couple, but you were talking to them about the comedy festival.
Not that you were listening.
I actually do remember this. I remember seeing you, actually. I do remember it. Yeah.
What was he talking about?
We weren't talking. We were hush-hush so we could listen to David Zaharakis talk to his mum and dad. But,
I actually remember this.
Yeah, we were going to a comedy show that night. Were you going to a comedy show? And I think I remember you talking about Dave Hughes, but I didn't want to eavesdrop too much, so I didn't get too much of the conversation.
Yeah, every year it's something we do with my mum and dad and my two sisters whenever they're available. We go to the comedy festival every year, go to a couple of shows. Dad and I started it maybe 8-9 years ago. We just started as an activity of just us two, and then Mum sort of got a bit upset that we weren't including her in it. So we go there every year, and I think we see anyone. We try and see some of the big names every year, but then also combine that with some of the up and coming talent as well. So it's the city pumps in April with the comedy festival.
Yeah, I agree.
You mentioned you had a sister. Now,
I've got two sisters.
Two sisters. There's a question that we like to ask.
It's a comment on the
hard tag. It's been the last couple of weeks.
God, yep.
We've asked, who is the teammate you would like to date your sister at the football club?
Well, I'd like to start. It's definitely not you two.
That's the same answer given before on the podcast.
That's also a common thing.
I don't know. There wouldn't be. I'd say no at the start.
You say no. Everyone says that, but
I'd say Andrew McGrath's probably. He's probably a standard answer.
He can do no wrong. That kid.
He's
been mentioned before as well.
School captain, the choir boy.
He can do it all. He does it all.
Something's going to come out, though, isn't it? He's not perfect. No one's perfect. We'll get to the bottom of it.
It's only a matter of time, I reckon.
Football clubs are known for that. Just to get to the bottom of people.
We should congratulate him as well for winning the NAB Rising Star on Friday.
Yep.
You were nominated in your first year. What was it like, and what is that event like? I've never really watched it too closely before.
Yeah, to be honest, I can't really remember it back then. It's
Who won it your year?
2009, maybe Rich. No, was it
Rich? Daniel Rich?
That sounds about right.
He might have been the year before, maybe. I don't know.
Well, you were there.
Yeah, I don't know. I actually don't know. I don't know.
Rich?
Can you look up Daniel Rich? Yeah, Daniel Rich, I think, won it that year. He was a star back then. And I think Hurls was nominated. Hurls had a great year too that year in his first year. But, it's a pretty special thing to get nominated in your first year. Rising Star. It's obviously only 22 people from that draft year or even the previous draft year get nominated. It's a nice honour to get, and I was fortunate enough to get in my debut, so got it out of the way early and didn't have to chase it for that year.
And you're on Future Stars over the weekend.
Yes, absolutely everywhere at the moment.
Yeah, talking
just media.
4-year deal, and then just everywhere.
Riding the wave.
Don't mind a little limelight.
Everywhere.
You're a panellist on the show, and they were actually talking to Andy McGrath about his win for a small section of it, and they asked him about living with his parents still. And then I'm not sure if you're aware of it, but the camera cut to you while they're asking him that question and you're shaking your head. What were you thinking in that moment?
Yeah, well, I was at the time, but because they didn't ask me what I was doing my first 2.5 years at the footy club, which was still living at my parents' house. So Pidge's got another about year and a half left to try and get me. But no, he's just the fact he still lives in Brighton all the way down there, about 55 minutes away from the footy club. I thought I was far at about 35, I reckon, Eltham was my first year.
Okay.
Boy said it was about an hour. But
What are you now, hour and a half?
Hour and a half.
About 25 minutes, boys.
Is it true you caught a flight here to get here tonight?
With a helicopter out there. But I think, Pidge just lives, I think it's a bit too far away.
Why are they giving you grief about that? Do you live in the countryside or something?
I live in
countryside.
the St. Helena, Diamond Creek area at the moment, but I'm looking to move in, so it's taken me 9 years.
Deal.
Yeah.
4-year deal, mate.
Don't mess around, do you?
Ready to go bang.
Ready to spend the cash on
Where are you thinking?
Saying that, he does, I think his house is 12 bedrooms and he's got a tennis court and a swimming pool out there, so he's not...
You've got vines on there, grapes and stuff, table grapes.
Vines.
There's no winery, mate. It would be nice, though.
So he does live out in the sticks, but he does have it all out there. So.
Zaka, there's a game we like to play on the podcast called Pump 'em Up, Throw 'em Under, which you can choose if you want a question that will pump up another teammate or throw them under the bus. We'll go around the table.
Look worried, mate.
Yeah,
It's like that. It's not
don't throw it under the bus here.
We're all about throwing people under the bus here, mate.
Do you want a question that will pump someone up or throw them under the bus?
Throw them under.
Yeah.
The Bombers have an open training session, I think, on Friday. Does anybody at the club try harder to impress at an open training session as opposed to just a regular training session?
You're looking at him.
Is this a setup?
It's just a loaded question.
The long sleeve top comes off.
No setup intended. Is that you?
No, I don't think it's me. Come on. Dyson Heppel loves a bit of the crowd around
Bit
him.
of fan
And
time.
gets around to the autographs and sign the autographs.
good
Says
one,
hello.
actually.
Yeah.
Is there any anecdotal evidence of Zaharakis playing
It's
it up
more
for the
Hep.
crowd?
We have to pull Hep away. Normally you pull the fans away. We've got to pull Hep away from the fans. He just soaks it up.
Hep loves the fans love Zaka, though.
Yeah, it's like a bit of a love triangle. Zaka loves Hep.
Zaka loves Hep.
Tommy, do you want to pump somebody up or throw them under?
Throw him under.
Who has the shortest kicking distance at the club?
Oh, Joe Watson.
Jam Tim Watson.
What
Jam
about
Tim Watson.
Nick O'Brien should feature here. He's,
Nick O'Brien.
He can't kick over 30 metres. He's a VFL captain, and he's lined up in the VFL final in a clutch moment, 55 out.
Yesterday.
And he's, I don't know if some act of God has happened, but he's kicked it 55 metres straight through the middle.
Oh, and you've never seen him done it
We've
before?
never seen him kick over 35.
I reckon if the siren went and Joe Watson was 40 metres out, we'd be in trouble. No doubt in my mind, he wouldn't make the distance.
Would he go for the top?
He'd have to. But even if you watch the game and you're watching Job and he gets the ball around 50, he'll be looking to pass it off at any stage. Sorry, Job.
Cale, do you want to throw someone
I'll
under?
pump him up.
Pump him up.
Ooh, he's a good lad.
Who's the? I don't think we've asked this before. Who's the funniest player at the club?
The funniest player, besides all the people here, I'd have to say James Kelly. He's pretty funny. He's got a good sense of humour. He knows when to be serious and when to take the piss a little bit.
Yes.
He's been around the locker room for so long, Kel, that he knows the banter. He's quite good when it comes to that kind of thing.
Maybe he's just recycling a whole lot of jokes he heard at Geelong and
actually,
passing them off as
could
his
be.
own.
We
Josh
never know.
Green does do that, actually. He does do that.
He's a
How's
culprit.
Green's very
His
funny.
fines in the fine box, they're just Brisbane Lions players' fines, and he changes the name.
Zaka, do you want to pump somebody up or throw them under?
Throw him under.
Fair game today.
Ruthless, mate.
Who has the worst knowledge of other football clubs and other players?
Joe Watson. By far. Absolutely.
He's a standout of this too.
We'll be in team meetings and opposition meetings, and we'll talk about opposition players, and everyone says, I don't know, Ed Kerno does this and Charlie Kerno does that, and I kind of think Joe Watson will go at number 25, at number 36 if he's doing this and doing that. He does not have a clue who opposition players are.
That's why I'm surprised when we gave him the quiz about our players' numbers that he actually got it right. Remember when we gave him the quiz about
We tried to
our
catch him
players'
out,
numbers?
and he
He
nailed
got
it.
Tom, do you want to pump somebody up or throw them under?
I'll pump him up.
Who is usually the best dressed for Mad Monday?
Ooh.
Do you guys always do costume Mad Monday?
we always do costumes.
Costume or poor kit.
Poor, yeah.
What's
I'd
poor
say
kit?
it just like your kit, just like a.
Excuse me, Squire.
First swear word on hard tag.
I'd say. I'd say. Who normally puts a lot of effort into their
Pearsy was good in the past.
Pearsy was.
Tate
Tate
Pears,
Pears. He's not at the club
Yeah.
anymore, but he was very good.
And stayed in character,
He
too.
always,
Yeah.
he always went to a lot of effort.
Can you can you remember a particular outfit that he wore?
Chubbs was good.
What's Chubbs?
Happy Gilmore.
Happy
Oh,
Gilmore.
right. The golf coach.
The white suit, that was great.
That was great.
Did he have the fake hand? Is that
He had the
that
fake
Chubbs?
hand.
Yeah. The hat, everything. It was great.
Kel's been pretty good at Geelong, like over his time. So he's, I think he was good last year. He came as Pops, the old man. So
big things this year from
I'm
him.
expecting big things from Pops this year.
Yes.
You don't have to tell me, but do you guys all have an idea of what you'll wear come Mad Monday in 4 weeks' time when we've won the grand final and then the Mad Monday comes?
To be honest, I don't have any idea at the moment.
Same. We've got to keep winning.
Yeah,
Zach, what about you?
Zach has got an idea.
The silence speaks volumes.
I had one of the young kids approach me the other day about going as a duo, so that was
The duos are always
We'll have
good.
to
You
wait.
see, always in a 2 or 3 or something like that. That's
Yeah.
always good.
Yep.
Something's in the works.
Strength in numbers.
Yeah, exactly.
Who are
don't
we
wanna
up
be
to?
late.
Cale.
I'll throw someone under.
This actually says, like Cale, who is always hugging business class seats.
Oh, we'll have to wait and see this week. We've got a few tight asses at the club. I'd expect to see Big Tommy Bell up there, but Brendan Goddard, he likes to fly business class around the world. He doesn't like to pay for it, but he finds his way up there.
I was mostly talking about the on interstate trips, like for the club, but
Cale was just one out up
Kale,
there on those interstate
He's
trips.
the only one.
And it's nice up there, It's a bit of quiet time, a bit of Cale time.
Was it quiet on our last interstate trip?
We won't talk about that. They're dedicated listeners, so we won't go there.
Cale's been known to send his prawn tails back to the boys back in economy. So after he's just finished with his little prawn cocktail, he sends the tails down the back to the boys.
are you often really the only one up there?
Yes,
Well, on the last
yes.
trip, I was the only one, just one out.
All right, Zaka, we'll finish with you. Do you want to pump someone up or throw them under?
Yeah, pump up.
Who's the best player you've played with?
Best player I played with. Besides these two sitting next to me. No, I think Job in his heyday in when he was in the years he was winning B&Fs and obviously when he won the Brownlow in those years that he was unbelievable to play with. Every
It's good
time,
to balance it out because, I mean, we've thrown him under a couple of times already.
Yeah,
so.
no. But yeah, Job as player I played with, he's easily the best player in his prime. Yep.
His work around the stoppages is second to none, really, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, it's what got me a kick in my first couple of years. Yeah, Job just extracting the ball out and
Tommy putting it down
winning
his
out.
throat.
Well,
Yeah.
I didn't want to say
Seems
anything.
to be a common theme.
True. Yeah.
It's a common theme on this podcast. It gets mentioned every week. What did you think Job told us on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, how he's getting, before every game, the day before, he dresses in his best, his Saturday best or whatever it is. You're quite a fashionable player yourself. It was mentioned yesterday on Future Stars. I think it was your intros, the best dressed man in AFL.
Ooh.
What
Is
do
that
you?
right? Is that right?
I think Nathan Brown just pumps it up more for Sam and Co rather than, and he gets me on that intro. I think that's what that's about. What
have you made of Job's outfits this year?
Yeah, well, I spoke to Joe about round one about it, that he rocked up in a nice-looking kit, and he said back in the day, a few of the boys in past times for the captain's run or game activation used to dress up in their best kit, and it sort of dwindled out over the last few years. So he said he wanted to bring it back, and I was sort of didn't want to follow a trend with that and sort of see how he was going to go. And it started off quite slowly, and no one really picked up on what he was doing, but he was trying to dress up in his best kit. But then the last sort of 2 or 3 weeks, he's gone bang, and the suit last week was
very nice.
yeah, quite impressive. But I'm just wondering why it took him so long and to actually produce something like this, even though he
Like
thought
the
he
suit.
was producing something good, but it was just jeans and a shirt early in the year. But
Speaking of suits and best dressing players and that kind of thing, which you are obviously, there's a bit of a rumor going around the hard tag desk at the moment. Anyway, that you approached the Bachelor. Is this true?
True or false?
That you
Approach the Bachelor to become a contestant or to
put a
become the
request
main
in.
Bachelor?
the main Bachelor, I believe. Is this true?
this is not true.
But a good thing to look forward to, like your first year outside of football, when you have more time to dedicate to it. Seeing you as the Bachelor.
I would
It'd
definitely
be
not
good.
be on that show.
You would be good on there.
Tommy, you're 28 and single. 6'6". I think that's a perfect
6'7".
6'7". I think that's the perfect
Life
character.
after footy for me, mate. Yeah, no, definitely. I'm, the talks have already started with that kind of thing. So
It's time to hit the siren, I think.
All right, Zach, each week on the hard tag, we look ahead to the next game, and I'll give you a bit of a quiz about the opposition that we come up against. This Saturday, it's Sydney at the SCG, and of course, the first elimination final. And Bombers haven't won a final in a while, so best of luck to you all.
I feel like Zach is the perfect person for this segment.
I don't know about this.
I'm very happy.
I'm actually quite nervous.
Yeah, it's very well schooled.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to ask you, Cale, if you play this weekend? I mean, you pulled out last week's game just before the first siren.
Yep, so pretty much this week I've freshened up, stayed off my legs, done a fair bit of cross training and swimming and grinder and boxing. So I've been staying off my legs and resting
What's
up.
grinder?
It's like an upper body exercise. It's not the app. It's an upper body exercise. You sit on a stool and you just work your upper body, so people can't see the movement.
I
I'm
like
doing,
pedaling a bike, but with your arms.
Yeah,
with your
right.
arms.
Great description.
Yep.
Great description. So, Yeah, I'll test it later in the week. I'll run later in the week, and if I can run, then I'll play. So it'll be a pretty easy fitness test.
There you go. Can you give us a percentage chance?
Can't give you a percentage chance. You have to wait and see.
Okay.
I'll be out there, mate. I'll be ready to go. 100% chance of it.
All right, the official quiz. Including the Coleman medal that Buddy wins this year for kicking the most goals, how many Colemans has he won?
4.
Correct.
That was fast too.
He just bang. He knew that. It's like he saw the question before. Bang, 4.
I have to
You
edit
won't
out the
sleep
minute
tonight
of
if you do.
silence usually that these guys use to and on. Okay.
That'll be the only one I'll get, I reckon.
No, you know your footy. You know your footy.
In round 14, Sydney beat Essendon by a point at the SCG. How many goals did Buddy kick that game?
0.
0.
2.
0.
6 behind.
Yeah.
0-6 is correct. On Saturday, what event follows the Sydney versus Essendon elimination final at the SCG on Saturday night?
What event follows it at the SCG?
The after party.
Yeah. Of our victory? Yeah.
Something on the
Neefle,
ground.
the Neefle Pine.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Neefle Grand Final.
Yep.
Shawnee
Sydney
Edwards.
versus Brisbane.
Yeah, Shawnee Edwards.
Edwards,
Former bomber.
How do you guys go when you just mentioned Shaun Edwards is an ex-Essendon player who's gone up to Sydney? How do you go keeping in touch with guys who, you could become good friends with, but then move on to another club?
Yeah, I think it's hard. Like, you're obviously mates and that kind of thing, but you probably don't speak to them as much when they leave clubs. They obviously go up there, and Shawnee's up there, and he's enjoying himself in Sydney. He played up in GWS and then came down to Essendon. So there'd be a group of guys that stay in touch with him. Definitely, I think.
It's hard with the schedule.
It's hard with
isn't
the
it?
scheduling, that kind of thing. We played up on the Gold Coast 3 weeks ago. And he played up there the game before, so we were able to catch up with him while we were up there. So you do see these guys, but you probably don't, speak to them every day like you do if they're at the football club.
Yeah, and I imagine it makes it even harder for people moving interstate, not just to another club, but
Definitely.
interstate. Can you name 2 Sydney players, and there's actually more, so you can go for bonus points here, Zachary, if you want, 2 Sydney players who were actually recruited from New South Wales?
Isaac Heaney.
Correct?
You know any?
Mills.
Callum Mills is correct.
Mills. There we go.
Want to go for any bonus points?
I
Tom,
wouldn't
you wanna
mind
go
a
for
bonus
1
point. I'm going to say... I'm going to say Tom Papley.
He's not on my list, so unless I
He's
missed
a Victorian.
About Dane Rampy.
him. Dane Rampy is correct. Great bonus point. Jared McVeigh, Jordan Foote,
Oh, wooey.
Harry
Oh, yeah,
Cunningham,
Woogie.
Kieran Jack, Brandon Jack,
Okay, there's a few.
Sam Naismith.
Crayfish.
Can you name an Essendon player who was recruited from New South Wales?
An Essendon player
Yeah.
recruited Craig Bird.
Correct.
He's good. Knows his teammates.
Thank you.
And to finish it off, and you guys have done fantastically as well. It seems like you're prepared, at least mentally, for the game.
I
this
told you
weekend.
Zachary would be perfect for this, Knows his stuff.
He's done well, mate.
Can you name? Well, this one's a bit tougher.
Yep.
This is the number sake, so your playing number on the other team. So number
terrible at
2,
this.
Tommy for Sydney.
Now, let's not start with me. Let's start with Zachary.
Okay, Zaka, number 11 for Sydney.
Jeremy Laidler.
Correct.
Oh, you are good. You are good, Tommy.
Let's go Kale next.
Kale, number 26 at Sydney.
26.
Good player, midfielder.
Oh, Luke Parker.
Luke
He's a
Parker is
bull.
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know as well. I remember the old one, the old number 2, but
Who's the old number 2?
Reece Shaw, wasn't he number 2? The old one.
Yeah, Reece Shaw was number 2, but I'm going to say...
I don't actually know this guy's name, so I mean I know
That
his
makes
name
it
because it's
pretty-
written
that
here, but I
makes
don't
it
know
pretty
him. So not
Alex
easy.
Johnson.
Correct.
Yeah.
Where did you get that? Oh,
Thank you, Alex Johnson.
help from the corner of the
Work
page.
experience helped you do that?
AJ. I actually know AJ quite well, so...
Well done, guys. That brings us to the end of the podcast. Best of luck for Saturday's game. And Zaka, thanks for coming on to Hard Tag.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Zachary.
Well done, Jacko. Thanks, mate.